Should you go to college? I don't know. I don't know you. How old do you know me? I'm a guy on the internet. Maybe you should. Let's ask Alex Hormozi what he thinks.
This video is for every 17-year-old, 16-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old who's considering going to college or quitting college right now. Should I spend the next 4 years going to college? Hopefully I can equip the parents and the kids to make a call with as little societal pressure as possible. When I lived in Austin, my next door neighbor was 18 years old. He was at this important decision in his life where he was deciding whether he was going to go to college.
First and foremost, man, the jorts, A1 choice. But man, why is this guy so jacked? I can't. He's like a lumberjack. He's literally a lumberjack.
And I knew his parents, and it's kind of interesting because I sit halfway between his parents and him, so I kind of have both sides. He decided to enroll at Pepperdine. After a semester, He didn't really like it, and I think a lot of it was because it was just kind of expected that he go to college there. I had developed a rapport with him, and he used to work out with me at my home gym after school and whatnot. And so I was like, hey man, let's go for a walk. And I think we walked for about an hour, and we just walked around the neighborhood, and I'm pretty sure that conversation significantly shifted the trajectory of his life.
So you're telling me you told this kid not to go to college? This is your fault? You ruined his life? Come on, Alex.
There we go. All right. The reason most people go to college is because that is what's expected. They don't think about the decision. They just do it because it feels like the next natural path. It's the same thing for having kids and getting married and buying a house, but let's not get into that.
I actually think this is a really fair point. So many people think that you need to do the next thing in society, right? Like you finish high school, you go to college, buy a car, rent for a couple years while you date someone, get married. When you get married, you buy a house together. And then the next thing you know, you have kids. And then those kids go to college and the cycle repeats. Well, first they have to get born, get fed, all these different things. It's very arbitrary what a lot of things in society forces on you, right? I only wear this shirt every day and gray versions of this shirt. Why? Because societal norms mean nothing to me, okay? Went
from going to Pepperdine to dropping out. His friends, his family, his friends' parents started looking at him different. He was like the trouble child. He was like the I don't know about him. 2 years later, he now has $250,000 saved up as a 20-year-old.
That's amazing.
$200,000 a year right now as a sales guy. What I want to do is break down the split in the road of two different lives.
I love this graphic, bro. All right, it's not that serious. Listen, if people aren't entrepreneurial and don't have the drive to become a sales guy that will make that much money, doing the college route's better for them. I'm just gonna make it very clear, not everybody is entrepreneurial. One of the worst pieces of advice I've ever heard is no one should go to college. You make less money if you go to college. Statistically, that's not accurate, one. And two, it's very contextual as to whether the person is entrepreneurial or not. Yes, it might be a belief statement saying whether they are or not. However, let's be real, everyone has their innate abilities and everyone has, more accurately, their innate preferences. And some people don't like the uncertainty. That's okay. I want to be an entrepreneur. Doesn't mean everyone should be.
That he could have lived, or that you could live, or that somebody that you know who's facing the decision could go through. And I'll tell you how the conversation I had with him went. What's up, man? So I said, listen, you're at a crossroads right now. We have crossroads every day in our lives. I was like, but some crossroads are bigger than others. And when you're trying to make a decision, you have to think, how reversible is this decision? And how much long-term impact does it have? If I'm choosing between Chinese and Mexican for lunch, it's a split in the road, and it's really not going to affect much for me down the road. Choosing to go and commit 4 years of my life between $50,000 and $200,000 of money and the lost income that I would have made during that period of time, those are very big, irreversible decisions, and they need to be treated with the same amount of respect.
I actually do really agree with this point. So many people don't give enough of a thought to whether they actually should go to college or not because it is the thing to do. It is $50,000 to $250,000, even more in some crazy cases, dollars worth of debt you might be putting yourself into. Regardless, it's money. And if not, it's time and effort put into a sport or into education based on the full ride that you're getting. You're not going to be earning a crazy amount of income during that time. And the only situation where you can handle it all really is if you're working night classes only as a master's student. But the first 4 years, you're really not able to do it like that. And it's really unfortunate, but you can't manage to do it all while you're in school, just based on the time of day that you have classes and whatnot. So you can't really work full time. And you do need to think about the opportunity cost there. We get taught about opportunity cost in business school, but the conversation about whether the opportunity cost is right or wrong when you're in college, it's not really talked about enough.
And a lot of people don't because they make that decision because their parents are telling them to, which seems like the overused one, but realistically because they don't want to be the kid who did it wrong, who didn't do what they were supposed to do and didn't do the next natural step. That's a terrible reason to go to college. I would like you to approach it with a decision-making framework that makes sense. So it starts with, and this is me telling him this, I was like, what problem are you solving? He's like, well, I want to make money. So the question is, 4 years from now, if you have a degree and you lost the money and you lost the earning potential you had during those 4 years, is that you more able to generate income than an alternative you? Because what we have to analyze is not the cost of college, but the opportunity cost of going to college. The opportunity cost is the loss of potential gain from other alternatives when one alternative is chosen. So when we choose to go to college, there's an opportunity cost that exists. And it is the single greatest cost that people do not take into consideration. It's the cost of not doing, of what you could have done in the meantime. One is it's going to cost you money.
This is often something that I actually deal with currently. It's like, I have a day job, I have a side thing, right? What is the opportunity cost of doing both at the same time versus just doing one? I'll be frank, I don't know. I don't know how to do that analysis. I'm just focused on doing both well, and I'm pretty sure it'll turn out well in a couple of years, so I'm fine with it. But this is something you have to think about with all those big decisions in your life.
Because you actually got to spend money to do it. The second way it costs you money is that you're not going to earn what you probably could earn full-time working if that's what you wanted to do. You got two sides there. If you spent 4 years versus starting a business and then 4 years later, the opportunity cost is the business you could have started and what you would have 4 years later. So I'm walking with him and this is like a 1 hour, really in-depth, like this is probably deeper than he and I have been because I'm still this neighbor from across the street that like makes money on the internet, right? But his parents like trusted me enough to be like, you know, I know that you have a lot of influence over our son and like, we just want you to know that like, we know you do, and so like, please be careful. And I was like, I'm aware, he's in good hands. Don't be afraid for what I'm gonna tell your son. I was like, listen man, if you wanna make money, then you need income generating skills. Do you think your philosophy degree, your sociology degree, your psychology degree, your economics degree even, which is still a little more useful, is gonna give you actual skills to make money? He was like, I don't know. And so I'm here to tell you what actually makes money. There's this lie that has been sold that you need to learn general education. I can tell you ancient Chinese literature has never impacted my ability to make money. Aztec culture, don't know anything about it, but it's classes and they
Very true. This is something that I will say math and science is applicable here in a different sense. Neil deGrasse Tyson puts it pretty well in the sense that you need to do complex work in order to learn how to solve complex problems. And that's where some math can really help your cognitive abilities. But outside of that, you know, in a more practical place of schooling where you could do it with business problems, that would be more effective, right? And have more practical questions being asked rather than these arbitrary math questions. Like inputting these different variables into solutions that would then solve business problems would be very effective. And he's making a good point here. We are in a skill-based society right now. And I, by making all this content, virtue signal all the different skills that I have. And with my Notion consulting business, it's completely online skill-based. People see that I have the ability to make these things in Notion, they pay me. It's completely skill-based. It's not because I went to college. It's not because of anything I did in school. Nothing I learned on my MBA got me there, right? It's literally just because of what I learned online. And if you're able to do this leveling up of skills quicker, then maybe the opportunity cost of going to college is wrong for you. If you're able to do it outside of school, and that's the point he's trying to make.
They somehow fool kids into thinking that if they take this class, they're now somehow going to be more equipped to add value to the marketplace. If Alex were redoing the education system, the majors would be in accordance to the departments of a business. You'd have marketing, and it would have the actual ways to market, which is creating the materials of marketing and then how to distribute it. You'd have sales, how to get strangers to give you money. Delivery portion, which would be either physical products delivery or services delivery, which would be customer experience, customer success, or it'd be technical, electrician, plumber, lawnmower, whatever it is. So then you have the actual technical component of the services delivered, and then you have the supporting services, which are like finance, HR, legal. Those would be the things that people should major in because those are the things that you're going to get hired to do. Google stopped requiring.
They really need to do this in the education system because it's overpriced. And you don't actually learn that much in school. Being in the marketplace and working teaches you more than going to school does. The only thing that the degree shows is that you can commit to something for 4 years, and that means that you're a person that won't waste the people's time. Once they see you with the degree, they can see you can commit to something for 4 years. That's all it really shows for these companies, because they probably know you haven't learned anything in on-the-job experience.
College degree, big tech corporations have stopped it because they realized it too that it's not value additive. If I'm a doctor or a lawyer, you need a degree, sure, but for the 99% of people who don't fall into the 6 careers that you have to have one, people are like, I went to Vanderbilt. I graduated a year early, so I tried to get out as fast as I possibly could. One of the regrets that I have is that I could have started sooner. And the reason why I didn't drop out of college is because I was too shit scared to disappoint my father.
Yeah, I mean, that's the true case for a lot of people. And I think he's articulated why you should maybe consider not going to college very well in this video. And the last thing I want to show you is the interaction he's going to have with the person he talked to, because I think it's pretty impactful.
What's up? What's up?
So I was responding to the comments that you had that they didn't think that you were real. So this is to my YouTube audience to know that Jacob is indeed a real person. Can you confirm that you lived as my neighbor next to my house?
I can confirm.
And that we did work out every day after school.
Yep.
Yep.
This is true.
And then, how old are you now?
I am 20.
Still can't drink yet. Tough life. So you're in sales now, right? What are you making right now?
I'll probably hit 250. I did 113 the first 6 months of this, and I'm already on track. I'm already ahead of that.
Nice to be king. And then, how much money do you have saved up?
210.
210. Okay, so I thought it was 250. I got the 250 mixed up, so it's 210. What would you say has been the biggest mental mind shift, change, etc. from our talks and our chats?
That's a good question.
He took a minute to
Well, you decided
about
not to go to college, right? Is that the walk that did it?
That's the walk that closed it. You closed me very hard on that walk.
I did go really aggressive on that walk, to be fair. So you had now at that
Sales
point
guy right
been
there.
in school for a semester. What was the reason you decided to take that jump?
I think the line that really hit, when you said, and I'm paraphrasing it, it's socially acceptable to fail at entrepreneurship because you're still in school and you're using it as a crutch. I think that was like, oh, that's it. So I knew I needed to go home.
Yeah. So because you were dabbling on the side and you weren't succeeding at the entrepreneur thing, which is what you really wanted to do, and you were using college as a social safety net to give yourself an excuse for why you weren't winning.
This is very true. I mean, a lot of people do have, like for me, I have the day job. Like if I failed at the side job, it'd be fine. I have a day job. And this is something that everyone has to think about. What really matters to you and what do you want to do with your life? A lot of us don't have the privileges that people like mine were afforded with. I got help going to college. And if you don't, just know that you having no debt and a high school diploma actually doesn't put you crazy behind the 8 ball. If you manage to learn skills that get you into different places that can earn you money, you might be in a better place than someone who has for example, sociology degree and $200,000 in student loan debt. Degrees mean something to a certain extent, but they don't mean everything. And the education system needs to be solved so that people learn more practical skills while they're in school. That's my take on this. If you go to college, make sure it's for you. If you don't go to college, make sure it's not for you. Actually take the time to think about it though, before you spend that much money on it. And take no time at all to think about checking out this video on how you can improve your productivity or business even more.